So when we start looking at managing the risk itself, I mean, once again, now you've identified the single points of failure, and the next thing you need to do is to go through and mitigate those risks. I mean, like I mentioned, from a network perspective, and this goes back to the business impact analysis. If you're going to make a system that's redundant, you're going to need to, in turn, your CapEx and your OpEx are going to go up from that perspective. So having a single network connection coming into your building, I mean, if your executives truly want to have business continuity, then we need to, in turn, provide a second network link into the building. When we look at the systems, like I mentioned just a few moments ago, when you look at the systems themselves, look for the single points in this failure inside your system. Dual power supplies obviously being one of the key things. Having a second network interface inside of your system is key to that. When you're looking at storage itself, I mean, make sure you don't have all your storage in one particular rack that's hooked up to one power supply, for example. Spread your storage risk around. Move it over to different systems. You can have a primary system out there, but obviously have a secondary place where you're storing that data. And once again, the power aspect of it, because that's one of the main thing I see causing problems, at least in hosting that we're dealing with today, is, once again, it's power issues out there. You can overload a circuit, you can have a power supply go down, you can have, like in our case, breakers go bad with the actual hosting company itself. So once again, you need to figure out ways to mitigate that risk and manage that risk. And like I mentioned at the outset, you're going to need to have a capital investment to, in turn, make sure that you can, in turn, fortify your systems. One of the other things to think about, too, at least from an internal and from an external perspective, is what applications are worth hosting yourself versus what applications are worth outsourcing to somewhere else. If we take Zeta, for example, we looked at two key applications that, in turn, drive a lot of what we do down here internally, and that's our phone system and our email services. We used to host both of those services ourselves, but we realized it was better to, in turn, host those applications within another company, because they, in turn, can provide the diversity that we're looking for. If we look at our phone systems, for example, that used to have the phone system internally, but what we decided to do, that it was better to mitigate that risk by providing or putting that in the cloud, in a sense, by putting it out with a provider that, in turn, takes care of our phone needs down in Zeta. And what that allows us to do is that, in turn, now has a redundant phone system that we, in a sense, have Zeta's phone services are located in two different data centers. So in theory, one of those data centers might go down, but we still fail over the secondary system, and that would, in turn, obviously keep us up and running from a sales perspective and a marketing perspective.